Hello class, this is Thursday, October 1st. This is Latin 101, and I'm Professor Barbara Wyman, and I am going to go over the translation for Chapter 1 for you. Yesterday, I posted a practice YouTube video, and I got a couple of responses that it seemed to work all right. So I'm going to go on ahead and continue with Chapter 1, and so we can move on to Chapter 2, and perhaps you all can get started on translating on your own. But before I do that, I want to go over one more review bit of grammar that we did that week we had school, and it's the Latin words est and sunt. So Chapter 1 has the vocabulary words, and we're starting out slowly, and these are going to be the vocabulary words that are used in the translation, which is the little story that we're going to go over today. That's called the translation, and that's what we're going to be working on throughout the book. And each translation has new words, and this is the first chapter, so these are the words for the translation of the little story in the first chapter. We also will go over grammar in each chapter, and before we start the translation. And the grammar in Chapter 1 is very basic since we're just starting, but we've been introduced to the idea of est and sunt, which are linking verbs. Linking verbs link the subject and the predicate. They don't have action, so there's no direct object. Est is the Latin word for he, she, or it is. Sunt is the Latin word for they are. They're linking verbs. So linking verbs work like this. So there's our old noun waka for cow. Waka est parva. On either side of the linking verb, the words are going to have the same ending because they are linking. They're equal sign. Imagine an equal sign. Cow equals small. And so what happens on either side of a linking verb is it's a noun, and then that's a predicate adjective. The endings are the same. The chapter explains this, so if you need further information, you can read it, but the thing you just need to know is that the two words on either side of a linking verb have to match. So one cow is small. Two cows, wakai, are small. Cows are small. Cows, they are small. So the AE equals the AE. So that's the way linking verbs work. There's no accusative because accusative is a direct object. All right, so you can read again in your chapter. And the last thing before we start the translation is the adjective bona from your word list means good. And so this is going to be the good cow, bona waka, equal parwa. They have the same endings. The good cow is small. So there's not that much to understand except that they are spelled the same. AA equals A. Okay? If we wanted to say the good cows are small, it would be boni, wakai, sunt, parwai. All right, so we're going to get off the cows for a second. And we're going to turn to the translation. I'm in my, my now home office. So this book is Latin Via Ovid, and this is the only translation, the only story that is not a myth from Ovid. Ovid was the famous Roman author who told so many famous myths, like Midas and the Golden Touch, for example, which is in this book. This first one, I think Norma just wanted to kind of show you where Rome and Italy are, not that great of a map. So I'm going to go over a bit of this translation. We're not going to worry about it too much because it's not a typical translation for this book. I actually think it's harder than it needs to be because some of these words we're never going to use again. But I'm going to go over it anyway, and then we're going to move on to chapter 2, okay? So these words come from the vocabulary list that's on the next page, and I am just going to do it this way and try it. Here is map geographical. Here is map geographical, okay? So right now you can almost just flip over and find the words. Est means he, she, or it is. It is a map small. But lands, they are large. See how the AE matches the AE? Okay. Carta est bona. Map is good. Europa, Europe, and Africa, and Asia, they are continents. They are lands, AE plural. Pulchri, they are pretty lands in Europe, in Africa, and in Asia. Those macrons on top of those, ends a preposition. So what follows a preposition is an ablative. So that's why they have a macron on them to show you that that's an A for an ablative. The next chapter is spectate. That's from our word list. That means look at. It's a command. So we don't need to worry about that form right there. But a command, look at what? Look at the lands. So that AS ending, see? That's the accusative. It's receiving the action of being looked at. Look at the lands, terras, in Europe. An ablative, in Europa. Britannia, Gallia, Germania. So all of these are the lands in Europe. England, Gaul, or France, Germany, and Spain. Italy, Greece are in Europe. Okay? So like I said, this is kind of a not very exciting story. Look at spectate insulas. Insula is a first declension. It ends in A. So look at the islands. That AS is the accusative. Look at the islands. And so what are the islands we're looking at? Sicilia, Sardinia, Corsica, Crete, and Cyprus. Okay, if you'll notice that these all have an accusative ending, AM, AM, because we're looking at the islands. We're looking at Sicily, Sardinia, and Corsica. So they all have to have the accusative endings too, the direct object. And then it says, ubi sunt insulae. Where are islands? Where are islands? They are in Mediterranean Sea. So this is gloss because we haven't really gotten to, that's going to be second declension, so don't worry about that too much. So the NE, this is in your chapter, if that's hooked onto the first word, that makes it a question. So are the islands large? They are they? Are the islands large? Yes, islands are large. Insulae sunt magnae. AE equals AE. Okay, so I'm going to skip that Peloponnesus, blah, blah, blah. So, spectate Africam. look at Africa, the AM for the accusative. Spectate terras, look at the lands in Africa. Okay, I'm going to skip a couple of lines. It's sort of repetitive. So let's go down right here. In Africa, ablative, Dido, it's the name of a queen. Dido, Regina Phoenissa, the Phoenician queen. Habitat, that's one of our words. She lives and she reigns or rules. So T and T means he, she, or it. She lives and she rules. Okay, all of this is pretty much the same grammar. So I'm going to stop this little video for right now, and all the grammar that we've covered in this short video is all the grammar there is to know for this chapter. Okay, and my suggestion is for you all to then try the exercises in the workbook instead of the exercises in the chapter. Try the exercises in the workbook because the answers are in the back, and then we can move on to chapter 2.